Hello, friends. Why was a werewolf arrested in the butcher shop? He was caught stealing in the store. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. My sweet, sweet Rosie von Zimmer. I fell for her the moment she entered the McDonald's I used to work on. Only 16, a cascade of silky black wavy hair falling graciously over her perfect shoulders, pale and delicate, adorned with a very thin necklace that was worth months of my income. She had 2 friends with her, but I guess I never registered their names or faces. Whenever Rosie entered a room, it was only her existence that mattered. She graciously walked to my counter and ordered. I remember she being the only one in her group not choosing Diet Coke, because if you gonna drink soda you gotta do it right. She commented on my tattoo. It's a beautiful deer on my forearm, adorned with flowers. A strong and gentle image, just like her. Just like my Rosie von Zimmer. It's not too much to say that it was the best moment of my life so far. She not only acknowledged my existence, she liked something about me. I had always been a classless bastard, working odd jobs to survive and help my sick mother and younger sister Frankie. I didn't want her to endure the hardships that I did, so I sent money home every month, even if it cost me a few meals, it did. At 21 I was exhausting myself with shift after shift and 3 hours of sleep a night, so I could help provide for my family and indulge my love for tattoos and music. It was 1988. I wouldn't dream of having music accessible everywhere. I love your tattoo! Rosie seemed genuinely excited, like a child, but with the voice of an angel. With confidence I didn't know I had, I smiled my best smile and thanked her without stuttering. The restaurant was nearly empty at that time mid-afternoon, so while my co-workers prepared her meal she continued the small talk. I wish I could make one, but my parents would kill me! Once again, she sounded so innocent. So sheltered and pure, it melted my heart. If you want I can take you to the studio and you can make a small one in a hidden place. These words came out of my mouth before I even knew I was speaking them. I am both terrified and thankful by how they sealed our fates. She smiled so happily. I'd love to. Can you really take me? Her excitement was contagious, and I couldn't help but smile happily too. Sure. Whenever you want, miss, I replied, noticing I was being charmed again. I never considered myself shy or ugly, but I wasn't the opposite either. Up to that point, I had dated a little, some nice, cute girls, but no Hollywoodian beauty like her, and nothing serious either. Do you have a bike? She asked me, eyes wide with zest, pronouncing the last word like one talks about a forbidden paradise. I do, I attested simply. So please take me there tomorrow in your bike. I'll come at 5. And she grabbed her order. Being rich, she probably had no idea there was a concept called shift, but I made arrangements with my colleagues and was able to go with her. My bike was a rundown piece of crap, to be honest, but I loved it. She seems to love it too. Can you lend me your jacket? She asked. My leather jacket was too old and run down like everything I owned, but she was amazed at the being poor experience. So she held me tightly and we went to my friend's studio. Leonard was my roommate and a good friend. He was very talented but worked in a very small studio in a crappy neighborhood. Everyone in the alternative scene knew him and loved his work, but he was far from being as prestigious as he should be. I always wanted a deer too. Do you mind me copying you? She gingerly asked me. Of course not! I smiled. Leo's tattoos are always unique, so we'll have a pair, not 22s. Why don't you hang out with us after that? Leo invited her, something I was honestly scared to do. I knew nothing in our world would be on her level. But she smiled and agreed. She chose to have a small deer face inside an upside-down triangle tattooed a few centimeters under her breast and above her waist. On the left side, it was a place she could hide even when using bathing suits, as long as it wasn't a bikini. I almost died when she unceremoniously took off her shirt to get the work done, and did my best not to stare at her milky skin, finely covered by the lacy baby blue apparel. A few tears escaped from her eyes as Leo dug the needle on her ribs, but she refused to openly cry. She wanted so much to be a badass. Your skin is a great canvas. Come back whenever you want. I'll even give you a discount since you're Frederick's friend, Leo offered. She loved the tattoo, and I instructed her about how to care for it so it heals nicely. Then she followed us to a shady bar that Leo, his girlfriend Lena and I went all the time. She and Lena clicked immediately, and later that night my friend drunkenly said, "Fred, you have to marry this girl." She thought she was whispering, but everybody heard her and laughed. Rosie was sitting by my side and put her arms around my neck. "I don't know about marrying, but I really wanna kiss you right now." Kissing her was like floating in the space, the infinite bed of stars brushing softly on my skin as I passed by. I don't know how else to describe it. It was so magical, it was like there were only us in the universe. At that moment, nothing else existed: the shady bar, my dead-end job, my overdue bills, her parents. We became inseparable. Her friends would cover for her with lies about sleepovers, group projects and studying routines. They thought it was thrilling to sneak out and have sex with an older, tattooed guy. On our first month anniversary, Rosie bought me a new, amazing bike. I said I couldn't accept it, but she told me to stop being a fool. That's how rich she was. She would spend a lot of nights in my tiny 2-bedroom apartment, never seeming to be bothered by how precarious it was. Leo didn't mind, he was a lot at Lena's or at the studio anyway. For the first time in my life, I thought I was allowed to be happy. Everything would be alright as long as I never got angry, and I couldn't see myself getting angry with the joyous life I was having. We started making plans. "Maybe when I go to college you can come with me to another city. We can live together and my parents won't even know," she said, giggling at the idea of liberty. I was more than willing. I would work any physically consuming job with a smile on my face to be with my Rosie. I called her Doe because of her tattoo, but she insisted I was the one with doe eyes, so she called me Bambi, a funny but cute nickname if you're in love. We never fought. She sometimes didn't know how things worked in real life for people that aren't stinking rich, but I found it endearing. And she loved learning. She hated the idea of living her whole life being a sheltered little princess, isolated from the rest of a world that brimmed with life. She wanted to be a part of it. After celebrating our 7th month together in our usual bar, we started to make our way to the exit. I said I would catch her in a moment. In my dazzling happiness, I forgot how dangerous the world was. When I found her a minute later, she was physically fighting against a man and losing. She had sweat on her forehead from the struggle and a little blood on her arm. His face held unspeakable malice. I got so angry at the idea of someone violating in any way the precious woman I loved. I only remember sprinting in his direction in fury. I woke up the next morning to Rosie's worried face. It was clear that she had spent the whole night awake by my side. "Freddy? Bambi. She broke down crying, and held me so tightly against her petite body I thought my bones were going to smash hers. Thank you for saving me. Did you? Dot? Yes. Dot. Do you wanna leave me? ? Hell, no. You're my protector and my savior, babe. I was grateful at the thought that she wasn't able to understand the gravity of what I had done. Whenever I get furious, I transform. I wouldn't say I am a werewolf, because the moon cycle has no impact over me, it's just my own emotions. But I sort of look like one at times. A hairy monster ready to devour anything that makes me feel rage, with claws and fangs dotted with superhuman strength. I get really scary, but fortunately, seem to be still able to discern friend and foe. My mother was the first to know about it, and she said my dad had it too. My sister doesn't know. We do our best to protect her. It's ugly. Every time it happens, I cruelly rip a human to shreds and eat their bloody remains, while drooling and snarling. Besides my mother, only Leo knows about it, because 2 years ago a violent man broke into our apartment, mistaking us for a drug dealer that lives in the complex. When I saw the stranger stabbing my friend, I literally destroyed him. Fortunately, Leo's injury wasn't too serious, but I wonder what could have happened to us if I didn't turn into a beast, and I don't regret having butchered the man. I never have any recollection of it, and I only know it happened because when I wake up the next morning my body hurts like I ran over by a bulldozer. It happened thrice during the first 18 years of my life, and those times I was alone or with my mother, then once with Leo and now once with Rosie. In my normal state, I am a very calm man. I despise violence, and I would never be furious enough for my beast side to be unleashed at a simple bar fight or couple-less quarrel. It only happens when I have to defend my life or the life of someone I deeply care about. Was I scary ? I asked. A little, yes, she said. But you never showed animosity against me, just against the man. You erased his existence. It was kinda cool because it's you. After a few seconds feeling strangely happy to be accepted by the woman I love as the bloodlust beast I can be sometimes, I realized I screwed up. I was supposed to have taken her home the night before. Her parents weren't expecting her to sleep at a friend's that night. We had no cell phones back then. I had no phone at my apartment and Rosie said she was too scared to go out and look for a payphone, so nothing could be done. That was the day the von Zimmers found out about us. They called her friends' houses and their friends' parents told them Rosie wasn't there. The next day, they were at my door. They offered me a lot of money to leave Rosie, to move to another state and never look for her again. I refused and shoved them out. Rosie was grounded, but she sneaked out to see me one last time, and we made love desperately. I remember tasting the salt of her tears like it accentuated the sweetness of my love for her. I never told her about the offer, I just knew I would make it work somehow. I wouldn't mind if it took me a few years. This beautiful woman understood me and accepted me. I didn't care if she was doing all of it just to piss off her parents. I didn't care if she wouldn't wait for me, I would wait for her. The next time I woke up, I was in prison. They told me I unleashed the beast at Rosie and she was gone. They had eyewitnesses and a solid case against me. I was sentenced to a lifetime in prison. They said I was lucky I wasn't institutionalized. 30 years. 30 years I spent in jail, thinking about Rosie, trying to remember that night, trying to remember why. Why would I attack her? why the beast in me would kill the best thing I had in my life. I did everything I could not go crazy. It was so hard just going through each day. My mother and sister visited me, always teary, but trying to put on a brave face. Leo showed up at least once a year, with Lena only for the first. After they broke up, he became a very famous tattoo artist. Knowing he was deservingly successful was pretty much my only solace. My family was doing terribly and my other friends had abandoned me. I asked Leo a million times what happened that night, but he told me he wasn't there. I behaved in prison, learned jobs, minded my own business and never fought with the other inmates. The results could be catastrophic, and I hope to someday again walk the earth as a free man, at least to help my sister, just like our mother, that perished years earlier. She had developed Gaucher disease. I was released last year, and by that time Leo was terribly ill. He had lived a riotous life in the last couple of years and was left by his peers to die alone of Kaposi's sarcoma, and hepatopatogenic disease. In his deathbed, my lifetime and an only friend confessed to me that he accepted money from the von Zimmers to them about my secret, and they made him tell the police I killed Rosie. Leo knew how powerful and dangerous they were, and he knew trying to oppose them would be a futile effort. If they decided they wouldn't let their only daughter date on anyone, their only daughter wouldn't date on anyone at any cost. I know he was right. I know I was naive to not accept their money to leave their daughter. But I stand by what I did. I am proud of the man I am. At first, Leo used the money to open a really nice tattoo parlor and live his dream, hanging out with the rich and famous, but soon the guilt started to eat him away, and he turned to the addictions. Wait! I screamed, after recovering from the initial shock. So what really happened to Rosie? What really killed her? Nothing really killed her, he said, and I hugged him despite his nasty blotched skin. Leo told me the von Zimmers had put Rosie in a mental institution for years because she was too depressed. After she was released, she never visited me because her parents paid good money to spread the information that I had died in prison. I even had a grave. Leo asked for forgiveness and told me he had found her current address. I didn't wait until his funeral to get on a plane with borrowed money. As I knocked on Rosie's door, I expected her to be married, with kids, and have forgotten all about me. But she opened the door, and I only had a fraction of seconds to notice how beautifully she had aged before she threw herself into my arms. Bambi! I cried tears of joy as she let me in, and we talked for hours about what had happened. About how cruel everything was, how I thought she was dead and she thought I was dead too. Her parents even made her change her first name so my family or friends couldn't track her. Despite everything, I mentally thanked Leo, because I could only imagine discovering her whereabouts was a hard task. Rosie told me she hadn't lived a difficult life. After she was released from the mental ward, she went to college and found her passion in the arts. She became a locally well-known painter and was finally able to cut her parents off and make a comfortable living on her own. She then informed me she was still completely single and that I could kiss her. I thought you only dated me to piss off your parents, I said as I caught my breath during a heavy session of kissing. She tasted and felt exactly the same. At that moment, it was like the time had never passed, and we were young again. All my suffering seemed to be smaller faced with the largeness of being with her again. Silly Bambi. Even if it was true. They're still alive, you know? I still want to piss them off. I want to piss them off forever.